I don't usually tell people to do this, but I am doing it. Look at my skin. Don't just glance over it, but really look at what is sprinkled all over my body. Because what you are looking at aren't just marks and injuries. These scars and scabs are my story. And my story is one of hospitals, unknown diseases, anxiety, and a journey of self-love. I don't really know who Oscar Wilde was or what he did. All I know is that he said the quote that defines my life up to this point. He said, "To live is the rarest thing in the world. Most people exist. That is all." Growing up, I always had one or two scabs on my legs because I would get mosquito bites and couldn't resist the urge to scratch at them. I was always self-conscious of them because friends and people at school would comment on them. "That's gross. That's disgusting. Why do you do that to yourself?" Then, just as I was getting comfortable in my own skin, I hit a major roadblock. The summer before sophomore year, my mom found an odd bump on my scalp. To me, these bumps were just random zits that would appear, hurt for a day or two, and then just disappear. I don't know what my mom thought they were, but her being a mom, I'm guessing it wasn't very optimistic. Not sure what was going on, we started to search for answers and mostly a solution. Doctor after doctor, surgery after surgery. In 2 years, I went to 4 different doctors and underwent 10 different surgeries. By the last surgery, I was completely uncomfortable in any hospital setting. With this understanding, as well as the results of multiple surgeries having little to no positive effect, my doctor decided to stop the surgeries and began to examine other routes of treatment. After a dizzying amount of blood tests, my dermatologist finally diagnosed me with an autoimmune disease. For some reason, my immune system would decide that my scalp was under attack by something and would send an army of white blood cells to an area just underneath my skin. The white blood cells would collect and get inflamed, which caused the painful bumps on my head. To combat this, my doctor had me try a steroid injection that would decrease the inflammation for a couple months before I would need another injection. My family and I had finally found an answer and a solution that worked. For a little while, at least. After the second injection, about 4 months after the first, I started to get dry patches on either side of my neck. And being a person who can't stand to be itchy, I did the one thing I knew that would stop the itchiness. I scratched. However, the more I scratched, the worse the skin got. It started to scab over. My mom immediately stopped the injections, but even then, the dry patches began to appear on my ribs, down my back, down my legs, and across my arms. Most people, including myself, know that as scabs heal, they tend to itch. I would remind myself that the itchiness is good, because it means I'm healing and that the scabs are going away. But more times than not, the urge to scratch would take over, reopening scabs that were on their way to disappearing. With the memory of comments said about my legs in the past, I became even more self-conscious about people's stares and more afraid of what they would say about my legs. I started to hide. Even though I was never a social butterfly who went out every night, I found myself staying inside even more. I started to long for the winter. I hate the cold, but the clothing that the cold brought with it hid my scabs. And I dreaded the summer and the heat, and especially the short clothing that I needed to wear so I didn't overheat and end up in the hospital again. My mom and I searched again for solutions to yet another medical issue, and we found a half solution in the form of topical creams. But it wasn't enough. At the beginning of 2018, I started to see an improvement, and a sense of "I can do it" rooted itself in the center of my mind. I began to work out and dance, which in turn made me and my body feel better overall. I finally got it through my head that when scabs itch, it means they are healing and I should leave them alone. Through working out and dancing, I found myself focusing on improving my muscles instead of just my skin, and visibly saw my scabs disappearing right in front of my eyes. By the end of the semester, my arms were 95% scab-free. Every day I saw that I was getting better, I felt more and more proud, and that pride wanted to show itself by wearing clothing I used to despise. Shorts, tank tops, dresses, and skirts were almost always part of my outfit. There was one moment when it was really prevalent to me just how far I had come in the first 2 years of college. My friends loved to swim and hang out. But on the multiple occasions they would invite me to join in their aquatic activities, I declined because of my scabs. But I remember one day, around March, I walked into my friend's dorm and immediately suggested that we should all go swimming the next day because I wanted to swim. I remember watching his entire train of thought just stop. He barely got out, "You want to go swimming?" As he said that, even I had to take a moment and think about what had just happened. I, for the first time ever, had been the one to suggest swimming and completely had the urge to do so. It was moments like that, and small ones like choosing a tank top over a long sleeve, that kept up my motivation to get rid of all my scabs. I had made it a goal to be scab-free by the end of the summer. Unfortunately, I didn't reach that goal, but I am better than I was at the start of the summer, and I'm still working towards a scab-free body every day. There is one person who has been my biggest cheerleader and my biggest encouragement to tackle whatever life decided to throw at me. My mom encouraged me to think positive, even when she had no idea what was going to happen next or where the two of us were headed as we looked into the abyss of medical terms. She would always be there after a surgery to help calm my anxieties about people seeing my surgery scars. She's the only person who would praise the improvement of my skin without me expressing the improvement first. She would always be up for a shopping trip and choose the best clothing for me. Even though a lot of this healing I have to do on my own, I can go into the healing process fully confident that my mom is just an arm's length away. I don't know if I fully understand what Oscar Wilde meant, but I know what his quote means for me. See, throughout junior high and high school, throughout my medical mysteries, I was just existing, going through the motions and the days, trying to reach a solution and diagnosis. I was happy, but I would never excite myself with challenges and adventures because I just wanted that answer to my question. Knowing that my skin can get better, that there is a solution for me, made me start to be a little adventurous. Shorts on this day, maybe a dress on that day. Just changing my clothing gave me an excitement to see what else I could accomplish. I began to constantly chase this feeling. I started to want to shop for clothing that showed off my body, to do things that I never even thought about doing before. I want to do things. I want to go out. I want to explore. I want to make crazy, silly, amazing memories. My entire journey has allowed me to tell people about my skin with no lingering fears about their reactions, to confidently hold my head up high and be proud of the progress I've made, to be able to look in the mirror and focus on my entire body and not just the spots that mark it. I used to just exist behind my scabs. Now I'm living beyond where my scabs end.